Yo, shit. That's mad. I didn't know you could do that. That's sick. It changes colour on its own. I'm an idiot. Welcome everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Obviously I released a video last week. Thank you everyone who watched it. Thank you so much. The feedback on it was great. So in the last video I discussed on was some of the stuff that's happened to me with mental health issues, and most importantly, you know, being addicted to alcohol for a while. I don't actually know how long I was addicted for. I've got no idea. Rough estimate, probably about 2 years. But no, so I thought I'd go back to almost how that kind of started and how almost quickly and easy it is to become one. For me, I didn't even know. And maybe a little inkling, but I didn't really know. So then when I kind of went to second year, I was in a house with, you know, all my mates in uni, and it was like, oh, sick, yes, this is it. This is what uni's like. And I made the most of it. I definitely went out a hell of a lot in second year. It was, you know, it was talking, but I used to think like, oh, it'd be 3 nights a week where I'd go out clubbing. But then I was like, oh, that's not that bad. But then I would kind of total up that I'd probably either drink in a house the other 3, or go to the pub, or go to an away game. And yeah, so it would be pretty much 6 or 7 times a week. And yeah, it's not good. And I think I became seriously had mental problems at that point. Because those days where kind of everyone in second year in my house, they were really on it. They, you know, most of them went to uni every day, and, you know, actually were students, unlike me. And I think I disguised how probably personally I felt, which was by doing a thing that I've become quite good at, which is pretending everything is okay. And I would be probably extremely happy a lot of the time, be laughing constantly, looking like everything's okay, but inside it was just a shit show going on underneath. And that made the drinking worse, and it became a cycle of where I would wake up fucking hungover as hell and just lay in bed all day. And when I say all day, a hell of a lot of the day. And then when my mates began to come back from uni, I'd get up and, you know, be a bit happier, look a little bit rough, but, you know, you showered before then. And, like, kind of just go back to it. And, you know, I played it off that kind of everyone was going out, everyone was drinking. I'm in the same boat as everybody else. I'm all good, though. I'm smiling, I'm happy, I'm all that. And I just wouldn't speak to my mates, you know, about it. That something that in there was just not right. And I think when I look back on it, it may have, you know, I think I was struggling with that kind of, with alcohol, it becomes like an antidepressant when you're on it, and you become extremely super active, super hyper, and, you know, and you love everyone a lot of the time. And that's kind of how I was like. And then when I was hungover, I hated the world. And when I say the world, I mean almost everything in it. But mostly of all, I hated myself. And that was the thing that became so difficult, was it just literally got to a point where I just hated myself, everything about me. And I couldn't break that mold when I was hungover. It just got to a point where I knew the only way to get past that was to drink again. So that's how the days went. I was hungover, stop, hating myself the whole day, go and eat some food, or run across the road to the garage and go and buy some, I don't even know what probably just like shitty food that made me feel good, like crisps and pizza and shit. Being a lazy fucker. And then, and then just go straight back to drinking. Ring up anyone. I remember one day I had an essay in it. Oh God, when was it? It was an essay in at like 9 a.m. the next day. And I hadn't done it. And it was like probably like 2,000 words. 1,500, 2,000 words. I got a phone call from one of the boys who lived at another house. And it was like, oh, do you want to come out? And it was like, yeah, I've kind of got this essay to do. And I was like, no, fuck it won't take me long. And I rushed the essay in an hour. And then went out. Just so I could go out and drink again. Because it was the only shining light for me. And how I saw it. I saw it as every opportunity to drink was the greatest day ever. And it's so stupid. And I think I slowly was drifting into almost depressive states. I don't know if I want to call it depression, because I think that's unfair to people who have seriously suffered that, and I never got diagnosed with it, so I can't confirm that. But I was at a point where I couldn't leave my room, I couldn't leave my bed for most of the day. I'd come in my bed, my room would be a shit heap, there'd be fucking shit everywhere, and I just didn't care, because I didn't care about anything. And I cared about one thing. It was the only thing I cared about. That one thing, which was getting pissed again. It becomes like an escapism. But then you get stuck in the cycle of where you can't break out of it. And it's so hard to break. Where you're just in that cycle of hating yourself, loving yourself for a few hours, then hating yourself again. And that's constantly what I lived through in second year. And the people in my house were there for me all the time. And they would ask me if I'm alright. Yeah, I'm fine. Why are you stressed? Even when I was hungover, it was walk out, smile. I'm fine. Don't worry. It's all horse shit. It was all horse shit. It was complete utter lies. I wasn't right. But at the same time, I don't think I knew what was going on. Because I kept telling myself that everyone does this. No, you're alright. Mentally you're a bit, that's just a hangover. And I pushed it on the hangover, but I was like, everyone's going out and drinking the same as you. Maybe. But they definitely weren't drinking to the level I was. And it definitely weren't having the same impact as what I had, which was 6 days of just feeling, in just a complete depressive state where I couldn't get out. And I think there's a lyric that is ironic now, because I've listened to this song so many times. It's a lyric by Dave, and it was, walked into depression with a blindfold. And I listened to that song from the moment it came out. The lyrics stuck with me, even when I listened to it back then, but I didn't have the mental consciousness to understand it. I couldn't comprehend it. I didn't really get it. And then when I go back and listen to that song now, I get it. Because in some ways it felt like that's what I fell into addiction with a blindfold and had no idea what I was doing. And then it became a point where I think even my mates began to know that I wasn't just drinking for a bit of fun. And it came about when was it? It would have been about 3 or 4 days before I was going back to Cardiff for the end of second year. And I can't remember if I discussed this in the last video, but we did a night out, and one of the girls got me a bottle of rum, and I remember it, and she was like, "Oh yeah, just that'll be like 3 or 4 nights for you," and I was like, "Yeah, 3 or 4 hours, not 3 or 4 nights." And I sat there and started on it and thought, just be alright, just stay. And I think we must have had about 800ml before going out. I thought, fuck, I'm going to be hammered. And I left the house and walked pretty much fine. And I was like, I'm worried now, because I shouldn't be this as sober as I am. I should be literally KO'd on the floor. And I went out that night. It was a good night. I enjoyed it. This amount, I can remember. Which generally for nights out in second year, I've got no fucking clue what happened. And then I had a few more beers and VKs or whatever shite anyone was giving me. Shots probably. And we got back and everyone went to bed. Like, I was normally the last to go to bed. And I just remember going back and staring at the bottle of rum and there was still a couple 100ml left. I remember just finishing it. Just because I wanted that high and that feeling to carry on. And it's fucking stupid, but that's what I did. I sank a litre bottle, and I think I remember my friends coming down to me the next day, and I was going back to Cardiff the next day. And I think was I going back to Cardiff the next day? Something, 1 or 2 days. And I think they started to know then, and I got a few more questions that I couldn't really answer. So it was just a bit like, it's just a one-off. And I was like, I'm going to cut down my drinking. And then, because I realised then that, you're really fucked. Like, you are fucked. And it just, I had to change, and quickly. And I didn't change quickly enough. And ultimately went on another night out when I went back to Cardiff, got really drunk, and I was like, that's my final night out. And it turns out it was my final night out, drunk, but not in the way I expected. Because obviously it didn't end with me making the conscious decision to stop drinking. It ended with 2 days later suffering the alcohol withdrawal seizure and slap bang on the floor of a shop. It's very weird how things can go, but with addiction it creeps up on you. You think you're normal, you think everything's fine, but until that glass kind of breaks, suddenly you see it for what's going on, and you're not good, and you're not fine. And I kept telling myself I'm fine, there's nothing wrong. And that made things worse. And I was so afraid to ask my friends for help because I felt like I was the boy. I was the man that put me in this position. And nobody else can save me and get me out of it. I did it. I'll fix it. And all that did was prolong and really make the situation worse and made my mental health 10 times worse. And ultimately put me in a position where I have to be completely sober now. Got taken away in an ambulance, and I'm here. I used to see myself and asking for help as weak. And I used to see myself as weak, unsuccessful, useless. And that's what the states of, those periods of kind of being in that depressive state from the alcohol did to me. Is it used to make me just bollock myself and just crucify myself at everything I did. And that you were useless, you were worthless, and that you were a failure and weak. And you're almost trying to prove yourself wrong, but ultimately doing that on your own makes you realise that you can't. And it took me a long, long time to realise that. And I think now I had a period of openness after the seizure where I began to talk to my mates more and more about everything. And some other mental health problems I had following the seizure. And I had to talk about that more, and I did. And I feel 10 times better. I feel stronger, more powerful, and showing weakness, asking for help isn't a show of weakness. You aren't weak asking for help. You're admitting that something is wrong and that you cannot fight it alone. And you shouldn't fight it alone. And it took me drinking 6 to 7 times a week to finally realise that. And it took me a hell of a lot longer than what it should have done. And Maybe if I did that, I wouldn't be in the position I am today. Maybe if I'd have spoken earlier, I'd be worse, better. I don't know. You know, I don't regret, because I'm in a great position now, and that's all that matters. So, thank you very much, all of you, for watching again. You know, I really appreciate it. You're all good eggs. And yeah, so I'm hoping to do more videos that kind of, I'm almost doing a little chronological track right now, but then I will go into some other stuff that I've done as well, because how I kind of got rid of alcohol was probably unconventional and yeah, but a little bit odd. So I'll talk about that in another video, and I'll talk about kind of some other mental health stuff that happened after the seizure, kind of track that a little bit more. But yeah, thank you again. Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe down below, because if you want to see more of me just rambling as per, and I will try and do some more different videos that are a little bit like that. But I feel like starting off with a rambling and chat shit, and people can kind of see why I have these perspectives on certain things. So if you want to continue to see me ramble, be sure to subscribe. Thanks again. Goodbye.